They tell me that this right here is gonna solve all of my ferro rod woes. It's a magnesium block with a ferro rod. And what a perfect day like today to see if it's really all it's cracked up to be. It is wet, it is nasty. Can this be the key for me making a ferro rod fire? And even in the midst of a wet environment to make things even tougher? Stick with me and let's find out what this is all about. Okay, so here we've got the wet logs that we drug out from under the tree over there. And this is gonna be our potential firewood. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get the lynx gear and start processing some of this down. All right, what we see here in the center is some relatively dry wood. So the idea is to take the wet bark off, shave it down, and try not to saturate the wood with the ambient environment, which now it's drizzling rain a little bit. So we just do our best to keep things as dry as we can, and hopefully that magnesium will be the saving grace for getting a fire going in this wet, yucky environment. All right, so this is a little piece of wood right here. I'm gonna process down first and try to get some dry shavings. Now I think the obvious problem is going to be the moisture on my hands, the moisture in the bark, saturating the outer layers of the wood. But now the beauty and the legend that is magnesium is that those scrapings of magnesium will burn long and hard enough to drive out the moisture and ignite the tinder. At least that's what I've been told. Is that a reality? Well, let's find out together. Even my baton is soaking wet. All right, but that right there is dry wood. That's encouraging. These are not dry hands. All right, so now we're going to use our handkerchief to try to keep material dry as we can. And so to do that, I'd like to create a sort of basket. And so the idea here is that the moisture from the ground won't catch or won't soak up in this right here as we make our shavings. Like I said, we have raindrops, so let's just see what we can do. All right, so now I'm going to dry my hands as not wanting to transfer any moisture to my shavings here. I'm gonna shake it all in right here and get us a nice little tinder bundle. All right, so I want to have a little platform built up, so I'm going to get some leaves. I'm going to dry them on my leg. I'm going to put the tinder bundle on the leaves I dry, and we'll go from there. All right, the mulberry leaf is a great candidate. This side right here is even dry, where this side is damp. All right, so let's put this over here on the ground and see if we can light this up. All right, first of all, the instructions. Shave magnesium onto surface to be ignited with tooth side of striker. Strike flint edge of bar with smooth side of striker to create sparks and ignite the shavings. So that's definitely simple enough, but will it be enough? All right, so we come with a hacksaw toothed edge and a painted side. So first we have to disassemble it. And so we don't lose our little keeper chain, I'm just going to keep it right there. Let's see what we get right here. Mosquitoes. Oh yeah, I see some right there. I wonder if the, oh, now we're talking. All right, we got some magnesium. Got some magnesium built up in that. Definitely got to get more of that paint off of there. Okay, so before you just grab one of these and go into the woods on your camping trip, make sure you got something to get this off. I'm gonna grab my rock towel here and I'm going to pull out my file and give this a little cleaning. Got a little spark with it. All right, so this scraper is subpar. And you can sharpen the edge on it, but again, if you prepare this before you go out, you'd be a lot better off. Let's use the back of the knife to strike this. I'm pretty sure some of the black char stuff that floats up is the magnesium is just burning off. There's a lot of magnesium flakes round about it, a lot of it sprinkled inside of the all right, well now that was pretty impressive. Pretty impressive, I will say. Let's make us another bundle. We'll come back to this and see if just a ferro rod will light those shavings up. Were those shavings dry enough? To just allow a ferro rod spark to ignite it? That's a good question. I gotta find out, did we need that magnesium with this dry wood? All right, so here we go again. Let's try again with just the ferro rod. All right, well, I'm going to tell you, I don't think it is just the ferro rod. I believe that magnesium is something that is making a difference here. Let's see again. Shave a little of that off in there. All right. Now see if one of those sparks will just catch onto that. Maybe don't have enough magnesium in there yet. Yep, so we had a lot of flakes down in that area right there, so I'm definitely sure that it is the magnesium that is helping us get this to burn today. All right, some magnesium block and a ferro rod. And the striker just does not want to do much. And that's even with a cleaned off edge. So it would definitely need some preparing before you took it out into the wild. All right, so I got one other. I want to do a tighter experiment here. So I want to get some material that is definitely wet and mix it up with some magnesium. See if it can dry out the little pile of shavings and actually ignite it. So let's see what we can do there. Let's get everything prepared. All right, so there's our magnesium. Here is our wet wood. Then we're going to put our pinches of magnesium all in there. Now, that's a lot of magnesium. You can see it collecting right there. Now, let's see what we got. It's gonna be cool. I don't know what's gonna happen here. Well, that magnesium is sure burning. But that wet stuff did not catch. You know, there's plenty of little shavings of magnesium in there too. To grab it and go. Look at that. I've got some. I was thinking about it. Magnesium has burned out of that. All right, so conclusions. Conclusions. So I think this stuff does what it's supposed to do. I think if you can manage to collect some dry materials, relatively dry materials, and add magnesium to it, then you're gonna get a flame. As you've seen though, the magnesium it burns up really, really fast. So you'd need a lot of magnesium to really dry out a tinder scraping pile such as that to the degree that it would actually flame, consistently hold a flame to dry out other material. So I think that this is not a miracle when it comes to wet fire making. I think it again is an aid to fire making in the wet or in any environment, a quicker fire starting method. But you know, so is the way of Vaseline cotton balls, wax paper laced duct tape, you know, prepared tinder, even birch bark. I mean, all these things could help dry things out and get us going. All right, so that be said, is it worth the $4.50 some that I paid for this? Well, the striker again isn't worth its weight in salt, and it don't weigh much at all. And again, prepare that striker before you take it out. I may spend some time preparing it and just add some to this video to see if it'll actually scrape and actually strike. But I wouldn't rely upon just that bulk packaged to go out into the woods, into the wild, and think that I've got enough to start a fire. All right, guys, thanks for joining me this week for this little demonstration of the Ozark Trail Magnesium Block Fire Starter with Striker. Just remember to finish what you start, finish strong, be ready for anything because it's coming. Level 3 out.